First off, thank you for watching this video. What we're going to do today is a couple of stretches that I do daily every morning to help me basically just loosen up and be a better athlete overall. Now, as you can see, I'm just sitting back a little bit. I'm opening up my hip capsules, making sure my heels are away the whole time. I do about 40 of these at a time, just depends on how I'm feeling that day. If I feel super tight, I will do 40 to 50. And if I feel good, then I do only 20 sometimes. It just depends. But my knees are close. Now what I'm going to do is open up my knees so I can get more separation, open up those hip capsules just a little bit more. Now, as you can see, I'm getting my toes prepped to get them stretched. Make sure your heels are away. Now, these will hurt in the beginning, I won't lie to you, but they will help you unlock so much more potential in your feet, in your hips, in your knees, everywhere, all the way up, because your feet are so important, so you need to stretch them on a daily basis. I do about 40 of these at a time. Just depends on where I'm feeling. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and sit back and kind of simulate running in a sense, so I can open up them hip capsules just a little bit more. Make sure your heels are away the whole time. Now my knees are close to knees on the first set, and in the second set I'll open them up just a little bit wider just to get more room and more simulation to me running. Notice how I'm leaning forward now, which I wasn't in the beginning. But you want to simulate running, and you want to be able to put your head and your shoulders in your columns, which we can talk about another time, but your columns are so important. So here we are opening up a little bit more. What we're doing now is what we call dragonflies. So basically I'm opening up my hip capsules again, but my heels need to be away and my toes need to stay inside. These will be tough in the beginning because your feet will want to keep going out, but you got to be in control of that. You control your body. So I do about 10 of those at times. Just depends on how I'm feeling and how tight I am. Now as you see me going into a pigeon poses are so amazing for the hips, and it also opens up so much more potential, especially if you're an athlete or if you're just somebody with tight hips. So I'll sit down here for 20 to 30 seconds, up to a minute max. So you just do what you choose, but if you're working out, do about 20 to 30 seconds, but if you're in the morning, do a minute. You really want to constantly adjust this pose as much as you can, just till you find that groove. So right here I'm going back and forth just to really open up, and plus it's a different angle hitting because I'm going forward and I'm going right back into it. So I do this about 5 to 10 times depending on how I'm feeling. Afterwards I'll do what we call just leans. So I lean towards the leg that's underneath me, and I'm just opening up that capsule again to get more out of myself and be a better athlete overall. Now we cannot neglect this part right here. These feel so good. Basically we're just reaching across. We're getting that upper lat too, that lower back too, along with those hips. Very important, very, very important. So I like to do this to open up my hip capsule just a little bit more, just a little bit of a swivel. Now what I'm going to do is repeat it on the other side. The same thing, the same pattern. There's no changes. Now that I've finished all that up, what I'm going to do is a spider lunge into the greatest stretch. That's basically what it's called, the greatest stretch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and sit into it a little bit deeper and get a good stretch for about 5 to 10 seconds just to sit down and really open up that hip. I'm really stretching the leg that's behind me. As I go down, here's the greatest stretch. Rotate, turn your head with it so you can really fully get all that thoracic rotation. Now we're going to work that groin just a little bit also. Remember, the leg that's behind us, our heel needs to be away. And the leg that's on the side of us need to have a flat surface. So we're still pushing on the outside edge of our foot, which is those 4 toes, not our big toe. But our big toe is going to be down on the ground. Now I do these about 10 times. So I can really sit down as I lean forward. I'm still working on that hip because your hips are so important. Now we're working the inner rotation of that groin. Go ahead and move that foot as far back as you can, or as far back as your body allows you right now. Then we're going to move our leg up in front of us. We're going to really get that hamstring now. Sometimes I do it about 10 times and I'll hold it for 5. Everybody's going to be different, but I advise you to also hold it for 5 seconds and also get all 10 reps. These are really important. And remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other. And you can always do a self-check. This is more of a self-check to see how loose I am. So I appreciate you guys watching this film, and I hope you've learned something today, and get after it.